So, advanced admin. Yesterday, what did we discuss? Last class, what did we learn?
Flow.
For types of flows.
Mhm. Types of
Different ways to
flows.
build.
What are the things we covered yesterday?
Explain flow only.
The components in the
There
stream
are
flow.
two types of flow, like
Traction, logic.
screen flow and on-flow launch flow. And even app builder, like yesterday we flow builder, sorry, not app builder, flow builder.
What is the difference between the flow and flow builder?
Flow is an application inside the Salesforce to automate the business process. And Flow Builder is a tool, so where we use it to build the flows, create flows.
Okay. What are the three different type of elements are there in the free form? Raj?
Interaction, logical, data.
Yeah.
Raj, what are the
Yeah.
different type of elements are there?
In that elements, there are three, interaction, and then next one again data plus. I'm not getting one another.
What are the things will be there in the data?
In the data, we'll be having that DML, insert, update, delete, all DML related like data
What are the all DML?
will be there. So
What are the all DML means?
what, madam? I didn't get you.
What is all DML means?
Yeah, insert data manipulation language, like means for entering, edit, create, not edit, sorry, update, edit, delete, and
What all options will be there in data?
Create records, update records, get records, delete records, rollback. Good.
Okay. So create, update, delete, get, rollback. So these are the options.
Rollback.
rollback.
Is Shravan did not join the call today? Akhil?
No, ma'am.
Rahul, what all the things will be there in the logic?
Well, in logic, there will be like assignment, loop, collections. Collections, there is a two type: collection short and collection filters. And one more is decision.
Okay, fine. So basic understanding is done. Yesterday we have done with the basic understanding. So today we'll go ahead and see one example. So let's take a business scenario or a use case. So it is similar like what we have implemented using the workflow. In workflow, we have implemented a scenario whenever the hiring manager record is created, we want to send an email to the email address, right? So let's do the same thing. How can we do it in the flow builder? As we are already did in the workflow. Just a second. as we are already did in the same workflow, like we already did that scenario, right? So let's go ahead and see how can we implement the same logic in the flow builder. How can we implement same logic? So configure a flow to send the email notification to the hiring manager upon creating a new hiring manager record. New hiring manager record. We already did, right? This one using the workflows.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what is the step 1?
High level requirement.
So what is the high level requirement here?
Sending email notification to the manager.
Sending email notification to the email address, or let's say hiring manager email address. Next, what we do? After the high level.
Micro level requirement.
Micro level requirement.
We just identify the object first.
Object.
What is the object here?
Hiring manager.
Hiring manager.
Next.
Then we just go for the email field.
Evaluation criteria.
Evaluation criteria.
Okay. So before the evaluation criteria, what are the other things we have to do?
We have to check if there is email field in the hiring manager object.
Email field. Do we have an email field?
And check for the email template.
Email template even.
Okay.
Then evaluation criteria.
Okay. So here, little bit different here. Instead of evaluation criteria, definitely evaluation criteria will be there, but in different way. So in case if we are going with the trigger, let's assume that, okay, we have not covered the trigger, right? In case if we are going with the trigger or business, some code, we are writing some code. Okay, when we write a code, we write after insert what should happen and before insert what should happen, right? So this is on successful creation of the record. On successful creation of the record. That means once the data is saved into the database, which is record triggered flow. This is record triggered flow. As soon as the record is updated or created, I wanted to fire the event. Record trigger flow. So as soon as the creator record, as soon as it create the record, fire the trigger. So which is in the flow, we have a record trigger flow. In the flow builder, we have one of the automation is record trigger flow. So we are going to use that record trigger flow. So in record trigger flow, we are going to use only for after insert, right? So event is after insert. Event is after insert. So I'm telling fire the flow as soon as the record is created into the database. And what is the rule condition here?
Mail address field not equal to null.
Yes. So hiring manager email not equal to null. That is the condition. And next what we will do?
Action.
Action is email alert. Okay. We will do the same in the flow also. So let's go ahead and see what all the things are available in the flow. How can we do it practically? So let's go with the flows. And let's click on a new flow. Let's click on a new flow. Okay, so which one do I need to go for? Screen flow, schedule trigger, auto launch flow, record triggered flow. Why record triggered flow?
Because we are creating, inserting a record.
On creation, we are sending
an email.
Yeah. So record trigger flow. Let's go ahead and create it. Now, as soon as I create it, the first screen, it is going to ask me, select the object. Select the object. So it is telling that select the object whose the record trigger the flow when they are created, updated, or deleted. That means it is asking me to tell me which object that you wanted to fire this particular flow on creation, on update, on delete. So here our thing is that hiring manager. Now configure the trigger. Trigger flow when a record created or updated, or record or created or updated or deleted. Which one do I need to go?
Created.
Created. Yes, because our scenario is whenever it is created. Right? And the next one, set entity condition, which is nothing but a rule condition. Set entity condition, which is nothing but a rule condition. Specify entry condition to reduce the number of records that trigger the flow and number of times the flow is executed. Minimize the unnecessary flow execution helps to conserve your org resource. That means give me some conditions where instead of firing for every record, like there are 10,000 records are there. Do we really want 10,000 records should be as soon as it is created? Do we want it to fire for the 10,000 records? No. Out of 10,000 records, let's go ahead and specify some condition so that flow process will be the faster. Okay. So, and they are also giving some here. If you create a flow that's triggered when a record is updated, we recommended first defining entry condition. Then select only when a record is updated, meet the condition criteria option. So we have a different condition requirement. None. If you do not want to add any rule condition, you can go ahead and select the none. All conditions are met. Whatever the different conditions that I'm going to give here, and condition, if name not equal to null, if email address is not equal to null, and phone number is not equal to null, and email address is not equal to null. Every condition has to be true, then only it will go ahead and fire it. Or any condition is met. Or condition. Phone number not equal to null, or email not equal to null, or fax not equal to null, then only fire this. Custom condition logic is met. Custom condition logic is nothing but you have 4 conditions. You have 4 conditions. What are the 4 conditions? Phone not equal to null. Email not equal to null. Fax not equal to null. Business email not equal to null. This is personal email. Personal email. So ideally for the condition what we write here, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. This is all conditions are met. For other one, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. This is all condition. And also we have a custom logic condition. That means custom logic condition is 1 and 3. 1 and 3. Or 2 and 4. This is my custom logic. Or custom logic could be 1 and 2 and 3 or 4. That means I am building my own condition there, which all needs to be qualified. My own condition I am building here. I can say 1 and 4. I can enter those values here. Otherwise, formula evaluation true. Formula evaluation true is similar like a formula field that we have in the object level. Now, right now for this scenario, we are going with the all conditions are met. All conditions are met. What is the value that we have to check? Email address does not equal to, okay, so here operators will be equal to, does not equal to, start with, end with, contains, is not. I think this everybody is aware, right? Do I need to specify anything?
No.
Operators are general mathematical, equal to, not equal to, start with, end with, contains, is not. Okay, so does not equal to, what is the value we have to give? Here values, whenever you see dollar, whenever you see there is a value which starts with a dollar. Dollar is nothing but a global values. Dollar is nothing but a global values. If you see anything which starts with dollar, dollar custom label or dollar global value. So dollar is nothing but it's a global. It's a global. You can refer it anywhere. So here does not equal to empty. We do not want email address should be empty. We do not want email address should be empty. That means does not equal to empty. Then I'm going to done. Now, what are the things are there on the first screen when we created? Flow, create, record, triggered, flow. Record, triggered, flow. Record, triggered, flow. What are the different options it asked? One is object. I need to specify the object. Second, criteria. I need to specify the criteria. I need to specify the criteria. Next, what else it asked? Object criteria. Am I missing anything here after the object?
The trigger.
Yes. Configure trigger. Configure trigger. After configuration of trigger, we are going to specify the condition, which is nothing but criteria. Condition. Condition. So these three options we have to specify whenever we are creating the record triggered flow. First screen will be the select object. Select object. So inside the select object, these are the three things which we have to mention. Object, mandatory. Configure trigger, mandatory. You have to mention configure trigger, which one is the one created, updated, created or updated, or deleted. And next, the condition. In conditions, we have a different conditions. And how can we use it? Either I can use AND condition or custom logic or formula. So that's what we have created here. Right? Or optimize the flow for fast field update, action, and related record. Fast field update is nothing but update the field on the record that triggers the flow to run. Update the field on the record that triggers the flow to run. Means as soon as the field is updated, we want flow to run. This is high performance flow. Run before the record is saved to the database. Ideally, we do not go with the fast field update. I have not seen the scenario where we need a fast field update, but in future it might come, or maybe there are some other scenarios which is required. But we always go with the actions and related record. Actions and related record is nothing but update any field record and perform action like send an email. Send an email. Right now, we are doing same thing. Update any record. In our case, create a record and perform an action like send an email. This is more flexible flow. Run after the record is saved to the database. So we always go with the action and related records. And for our requirement also, we need this. This is in case if you wanted to run asynchronous path. Select this to run asynchronously path to access an external system after the original transaction for the trigger record is successfully committed. Okay, right now we will leave that part. Click on done. Perfect. Now what happened? My record triggered flow is created. My record triggered flow is created. What are the things we have gave? Object we selected. Trigger, a record is created. Condition, only one condition. What is the option? Optimize for action and related records. Action and related records. Now here is the thing. In trigger, we also have something called add scheduled path. This is optional. This is optional. For now, we are not going to go through this. Okay, but I'll give you the hint. Why do we use it? Add scheduled path is nothing but a record is created and within 8 hours, they have to accept the case. Agent has to accept the case within 8 hours. In case agent did not accept the case within 8 hours, I wanted to send an email. That means after 8 hours, I wanted to send an email. That means after 8 hours, I wanted to start working this flow, which is in the workflow time dependent. Which is in the workflow time dependent. When hiring is created, date is there or last modified date is there. So for us, whenever it is created, check, is it 8 hours already crossed? If it is 8 hours is already crossed, go ahead and run this. And we can also specify the batch size. How many, like I have a 10,000 records. For each batch, how many records you wanted to process? Okay, you wanted to process everything in one single batch, or you wanted to process everything in two batches. So if you give the number here, system automatically divides the records and it will process the records. Right, this is the new scheduled path. Run immediately is, which is an immediate action. As soon as the record is created, fire an email. That is an immediate action. Scheduled path is nothing but time dependent. As soon as it is created, wait for 8 hours. Fire this flow. Keep it in the queue. Keep it in the queue. Fire this and keep it in the queue. See what happens for next 8 hours. If you do not see any action that happened on the record within 8 hours, after the 8 hours, go ahead and execute this flow.
Oh, ma'am, is there any limit on the batch size?
Limit, the default is 200, similar like a batch class. We have a batch apex, right?
Okay.
Similar like a batch apex, it is the same thing. Enter the number of record that this path can process at the same time. The default is 200. If you do not mention per batch, it is going to take a 200, which is a maximum and minimum is 1. For example, if you specify a batch size of 2 and 7 records are scheduled to be processed in the same time interval, Flow Builder groups them into 4 batches. Because you have you have 7 records and you have scheduled it by mentioning the 2 batch size. Okay. Then Flow Builder group them into 4 batches, set the batch size smaller than 200 to improve the performance. It's similar like a batch apex. Like what is the maximum you can give in the batch apex?
2000.
What? Seriously? Do you know the batch class or you are simply saying it?
I knew a bit about batch. So.
Okay. Anyway, we will learn that in development classes.
Sure.
Okay. But do not commit anything 2000, 1000, 3000. If you know, then only tell.
Yeah, no.
And to avoid hitting the apex governor limits. So basically it is 200 is maximum that it runs.
Okay.
Okay. So if you wanted to delete the path, you can also delete once it is created. So those are the options which are available. If you want, you can add more paths here. One is after 8 hours, another one is after 16 hours, another one is after 13 hours. You can add as many as you want the scheduled path. Yes, somebody has a question. And anybody has questions? Okay. And the next one is Open Flow Trigger Explorer for Hiring Manager. Now, if you click on that, what will happen is it will show you the step-by-step process. Execution of the record. Execution of the record. This is fast field update. While creating the flow, we have seen the first option, fast field update, right? Then we have a second one is actions and related records. And third one, checkbox was there, run asynchronously. Okay. So right now we do not have any. Sorry.
What happens if I check the asynchronous checkbox?
We'll see that later. Right now, it's not good to discuss because it is getting confused.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So right now we do not have any flow, so it is not showing. Basically, this will, for example, on the object, you have a 10 flows. For example, on the object, you have a 10 flows. So for this object, whenever the record is created, which all our flows are going to trigger? Those 10 flows are in the action and related list, or those 10 flows are in the fast field update, or they are in the run asynchronous, or out of 10 flows, 5 are in fast field update, 5 are action related records. So whatever the flow that is there in the fast field, it will tell you here. So let's go ahead and create one, then I'll show you this. Back to the flows. Okay, by default, Salesforce is going to give this. We did not save that record. Okay, here it is. Let's go ahead and save. So this is the save button. Let's give the flow name as, this is what we are creating, sending an email to the hiring manager. Send email to hiring manager. This is the API name which comes with the underscore, wherever the space is there, underscore. Okay, let's put description, send email to the hiring manager. So show advanced. These are, it's optional, but if you wanted to go for it, you can go for it. Type record trigger flow. In case if you wanted to change during the save, you can change, but what all the impacts are going to happen, we have to fix those. And then in case API version you wanted to change, API version right now running the flow in 55 because Salesforce API version is 55. But in case we have a supportable case 49 or something 50, you can change it back based on yours. But right now by default, it is going to show the 5. Trigger order. So enter the number from 1 to 2000. Based on that number, it is going to pick the, for example, you have a 4, 5 trigger. So which order you wanted to execute. You have returned the 5 flows for the same object. Everything is in record triggered flow. In that case, you can mention the trigger order. Interview label, I'm not sure what is this. I have not used it. This is kind of a label, I guess. Send an email to HR manager, flow current date. These are the hidden options, but if you want, you can change it. But based on the changes, there are multiple impacts that are going to happen. So we have to fix all of those. So right now, let's go ahead and save. Okay, so flow cannot run because nothing contained to the statement. Yes, we have not done yet. So right now, run immediately. Only event I have specified. Action I did not specify. Action, I did not specify any action. Now I have to go ahead and specify the action. I have to go ahead and specify the action. Event is done. Event is done. Now regarding the action, run immediately. We have run immediately, which one do we need right now? Which action do we need?
Send email alert.
Send email alert. Let's go ahead and use. We have a different types here: core action, apex action, legacy, email alert. See, right now I'm just going to introduce all the options. Mama. Then we will go with the each one by one. Okay. Now the only definition. Core action is in case if you wanted to call any core actions. We will see that later. Apex action is if you wanted to call any apex. Legacy is also related to the apex action. Right now we are interested only on the email alert. So email alert, we have a one email alert, which is a new hiring manager onboarding notification alert. Why we have this email? Why we have this email alert?
Because we select the hiring manager object.
Yes, but how did we come? Did we create an email alert? We did not create any email alert right now.
We created in workflow.
Yes, the one which we created in the workflow is showing here. If I go to the workflow, if you go to the workflow, there are two workflows are there. For two of them, I have created the email alert. One is onboarding notification, and next one is new hiring manager onboarding notification. So for these two, whatever the email alerts that we created it is showing here. Onboard notification alert, new hiring. Because whatever we create here, it will be available globally. You can use it anywhere. In case if you do not see any action here, first create a email alert. How to create an email alert? Go to the email alert. Go to the email alerts. Continue. Click on new email alert. Click on new email alert. What are the object you are thinking on it? Create it for the same thing. Okay. So right now we have a two email alert which we worked on the workflows. So those are available. So we can use those. Onboard notification email alert. Now the label name is onboarding notification alert. Okay. So use values from earlier in the flow to set input on the onboard notification email to use email alert. To use it, output alert in the flow, store them in the variable. So that means it is telling us create an email alert first. Use the existing alert. You cannot create an email alert here. You have to go ahead and create an email alert here, then refer that email alert here. Select the input field. Input field. Where are we? Where do we need to fire it? Record ID. So basically record ID is whenever we are creating a record. For that record, we wanted to fire email. So which is a record, which is hiring manager. And I just need an ID. Current record ID. Whatever the current record that is getting saved into the database, that particular ID, I wanted to fire an email. Right, done. It's done. Why it is showing this way? Which layout is it?
Auto layout.
Auto layout. Yes. Now here, if you see, this is the undo and this is the redo. If I click undo, this email will go, but I do not want to do right now. Whenever it is needed, we will do it. Now let's go ahead and save. Let's go ahead and save. Now the error gone. This is right now is inactive mode. Right now it is inactive mode. Now you can also debug. There is an option to debug and run. Debug is, for example, this flow is in the production. This flow is in production. Now if you wanted to debug, you cannot take the client information and you cannot debug because there is an email that goes out, right? It immediately email goes out to the client. We do not want email to go out. So what we can do, come to the flow builder and select the debug, run immediately, hiring manager. We have a Carolyn Fallon hiring manager, right? Let's switch. So Carolyn Fallon is there. So we are using that. There are three options here. One is immediate. If you wanted to go with the scheduled one, you can go with the scheduled. Right now it is not showing the schedule because we have not enabled it. Once we set up the scheduled, like once I have this scheduled record is created, then I can see in the debug, run scheduled one. Right now we do not have. So that's the reason run immediately. So debug options are skip start condition requirement. In case if you do not want to skip, if you do not want to run starting conditions, like in the flow, there are 10 conditions are there. You just wanted to ignore the first condition. In that case, you can skip it. These are two all are default disabled for the run immediate. Trigger the record. For the debug run, we trigger the flow as if this record is created, updated, or deleted. Now let's go ahead and select the hiring manager. Click on run. So what happened here? It is going to tell me the debug details. It is going to tell me the debug details. Whatever you see here yellow, that means this executed perfectly fine. If in case if there is a problem, instead of yellow line, you will see the red line. That means there is a problem while sending an email. So how it started debug? First, it executed the hiring manager. If the hiring manager is created, yes, it is created. Start the condition. What is the condition? Email address is not equal to null. Yes, I have this. So all condition must be true. This is qualified. Then it went to the hiring manager email alert. So this is the S object row ID. Output is none because it will not send an email. Debug mode will not send an email to the client. Debug mode will not send an email to the client. So you can debug without any second thought, because if you debug, this will not send any email to the client. But if you go and test your flow in the actual here, for example, here I have a button. On clicking on that button, we are running the flow. Okay, if you do that, there is an email goes out to the client. So instead of doing that, just come to the flow, click on a debug. Whatever actions are there, you can directly go ahead and do it directly in the production, because this will not create any data, or this will not create it will not send any email to the anybody, because once it is done, it is going to roll back everything. Once it is successful or failure, the next immediate thing the debug is going to do is roll back all of them. How the interview finished? It is going to give you the performance time. Right? So that is the debug option. Now let's go ahead and open this. We'll see this tomorrow. Right now, Let me activate it. Let me activate it. Once it is activated, see here it is deactivation is coming down. So if you want to deactivate, you can deactivate. Now perfect. Now let me see if this email is there or not. Yeah. Email address. Yes, it is there. Check the inbox. Let's delete. So right now we do not have anything. Okay, now I'll go ahead and create a new record just by cloning it existing one. So let's save. As soon as this record is created, so which one we have selected? We received an email. I think Amala, you might have received an email because we use the onboarding notification. On the onboarding notification, we have additional emails. Amala, this is Ram, I don't know.
Yes,
Sai,
I received it.
You received it, right?
Yeah.
So that is basic. Like whatever we did it in the workflow, we can do it in the two steps. The same format. The flow, event, actions, everything is similar to the workflow. Fine, clear? Any questions?
Now means like that as we done the flow completed, like, you know, and then now we are having option of rollback kind of.
Why we have a rollback kind of? Where is the rollback?
As it was in the debug, it was like, you know, we can roll back like.
Why it is there in the debug rollback?
To like, means to get back all the things done, or like, means I'm not clear with.
Okay, we'll see that.
Oh.
Why do we need a debug? Tell me one thing. Why do we need a debug?
Debug is like means for like, you know, like for checking what actually is going in background kind of.
Right now here I'm sending an email to the client Caroline. When you are debugging the code, do we really want to send an email to the client?
No. Like in debug is like means without any error, like until I won't get subject perfection. So I should go for a debug. And
so during the debug, should we wanted to send an email to the client? Because 100 times we debug. Every time debugging, do we wanted to send an email to the client?
No, we don't want to.
So if we do not want, what are the things should happen?
What? Like,
if you do not want to send an email, what should happen in the debug? If you do not want to send an email while I'm doing the debug, what should happen? Ideal scenario, what should happen?
It is keep that option, like.
Which option?
Like sending email, like, you know, it was
Which
in
option?
a show mail, like action kind. Action. What? Onboard notification action. That
what?
part.
Tell me clearly, I'm not getting it.
Flow can't run because nothing is connected to the start element, like some.
Nothing is connected to the.
Yeah, Venkatesh, why don't you carry on?
Oh, ma'am, I get an error. The flow cannot run because nothing.
Hold on a second. Raj, are you clear on the debug part?
Yeah, miss, I just got what I got is like debug is useful for, like, you know, what happening, like, you know, means we are not perfect in that, like suppose this flow. So we can go through that, like, you know, what happening in background or behind logic, like, so that debug we can check out and we can move forward. That this much I know about. Is what I got.
My question to you, when we are creating a record, do we wanted to do the rollback?
No, miss, while creating record, we don't want rollback, but rollback only in case of failure. I hope that we get rollback, let the things get rollback automatically.
Rollback automatically in case if there is something failure.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
That rollback part here, like it is, I hope it's already automate, like, it's in the automation.
Where so is the automation?
In this flow we are doing. So
I opened here. Where is the automation that says the rollback?
In the, like, we were having option in the data part, like rollback.
Data part. Rollback.
Collection part, delete. Actually, like in the debug, I just saw like,
In the debug you saw. Why you saw in the debug? Why it is there in the debug?
If it is failed, then we can, the things will not get finished, like, that whatever the data without editing, like, if it is successfully completed, then it will trigger off. Otherwise, it will recall whatever, like, previous data kind of.
So are you thinking when we did a debug, it failed? That's the reason it rolled back? Is that the thought you have?
No, miss. If it is failed, then only rollback will get happen. If the things get successful, then there is no question of rollback.
Now tell me what happened here. Is it failed or is it succeeded? Is it like, failed or is it succeeded? What happened here?
Look and rollback mode and changes and delete modify record were rolled back. No, it succeeded till a level, I hope.
I hope. Are you not? You are not clear.
No, miss, like because by rollback only, the, like, here in the debug, which when I saw this rollback part,
forget about the generic definition of the rollback. Forget about general definition of the rollback. Now tell me what is happening here. Why do we need a rollback here?
Yeah, only one I can say that if suppose it fails, the whole code, like,
that is wrong. That is wrong. Whatever you are thinking, that is wrong.
Okay.
General definition of the rollback is if there is something is failed in order to save into the database, the rollback will happen. Do not link that definition here. Why we have a rollback here? Because I am debugging something, whether it is successful or failure. I do not want to save anything into the database. I do not want to save anything into the database, whether it is successful or failure. At the end, do not touch my database. Go ahead and change back to the original. That's what we have a rollback. This rollback is, it's not depending on success or failure. This is once all the flow is completed, we do not want to execute anything. That means I do not want to touch to the database. Debug, we are doing the debug. During the debug, I do not want to touch database or I do not want to send any email. So that's the reason we are doing the rollback. Here, there is nothing called a success or failure. Success or failure comes in terms of if we go to the, when we go to the here, how do we do it? There are different ways to do it. But trigger record, you will not see. Trigger record flow, you will not see the data which is having the rollback record. Okay. Yeah, Venkatesh. The flow cannot run because nothing is content connected to start. Have you created the form builder, free form?
Yeah.
Okay. When you created the free form, you have to link it. So basically what happens is you might be having this way, right?
Yes.
So what you do is connect it.
No, I created with auto form, right?
Okay, cannot run because nothing is connected to start the element. Okay, we'll see that. Now, in case if you are going with a free form, if you have created the two components, we have to connect that. If you do not connect it, it will not run.
Okay.
Fine. So let me give you the assignment, then I'll come to you, Venkatesh. Flow. First one, implement flow. Implement flow to send an email. To send an email to contact owner upon creation. Implement a flow to send an email to account email address. Implement implement a flow. Implement a flow to send an email to the lead owner. To send an email to the lead owner. Find these three assignments. Okay. Any questions before I move on? Okay, give me the debugging parts also. Along with this, provide the debugging steps for each one. You have to write it onto the notes. Fine, all be done. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then thank you all.